This is my 1995 Renault Extra Maxi van project, and in today's episode we're focusing on one of the most crucial parts of the van, and that is aero. The end goal of this van is to make it my track weapon. I've given myself the challenge of fitting a Group B Turbo 2 Maxi kit to the van, but it's not been all plain sailing. This kit was nowhere near fitting when I first got it. I've had to make brackets, cut the kit up, custom sets, you name it, I've had to do it. In the last couple of episodes you've seen me fit the front end, rear end, then move on to the interior. Now let's give the van a bit of character. We're talking front splitter, side skirts, rear diffuser and a big wing at the back that'll set this kit off perfectly and give it that modern touch. As you know, it's not always going to be plain sailing. Everything that I bought for this van isn't going to fit because it's not made for this chassis. I've been ordering and collecting parts up and down the UK and online to get this van specced out right. Let's jump in to the front splitter. Why am I using plyboard and not fiberglass or carbon? Marine ply is a fraction of the price of what carbon would cost. If this gets scratched or I curb it or whatever when I'm on track or out and about, this is no-brainer for replacing. All we're gonna do is slide this big piece underneath the front, get our mark for the front splitter and then start cutting. This is just a quick mock-up. I was seeing what depth I wanted the ply to come out. That is around 70 mil. Obviously it will be trimmed around the bumper so it'll be nice. I've then got some rear trim pieces from the van that I no longer need, which will be perfect to not only cover the arch cap in the front, but make canards out of it as well. It's about making stuff like this work. Like I said, it being time attack styling, anything goes really. We'll set up a little workspace and we can start getting the splitter cut. So the splitter is pretty much in place. We've got our trusty pump truck holding it up, and what you've seen me doing is marking areas where I need to trim. In the previous clips, it was just a generic size I measured. Now that it's in, the curve that comes in just misses this wishbone. As you can see a bit further down, there is excess on there that will clash with the wishbone. I've gone ahead, got my pen, traced round the subframe, so once we pull that out we can cut it. I've then gone and cut a 65mm block, a little joiner's trick here for scribe. To the front point is 65mm. I've cut a block and all I do is run the block down there and it gives me a perfect 65mm line for the splitter. I've cut the splitter 1600, which is the width of the bumper. Now I have got these trim pieces and you might be thinking they look awful, but here's my plan. There is a nice curve to the bottom of that. So if I can cut the bottom and get it to run flush with the splitter and cut the top to suit and then scribe it in, I think that'd make a great canard. And the story about it of saying this is just a rear trim piece, I think it's pretty good. Like I said, I like to reuse stuff. I like to make stuff work where it's not necessarily supposed to work. I've marked this one up. Let's get cutting. So the splitter was the easy part. This sort of canard took a bit of cutting, bit of stuff here and there to get it where it is, but mate, it looks like it was made for it. Look at that. It just gives it just a bit more girth, doesn't it? A bit more girth. So I've reduced the splitter from 65mm to 35mm. The reason for that was it looks stupid. Obviously, as you can see, it comes around from 35mm and then starts to taper in up the body. When it tapered in from 65mm to nothing, or tapered in from 65mm to the little canard piece, it didn't look right. I reduced it by 30mm just to take it in so it suited that canard. Another issue that this has solved is the arch gap at the front. Now I've still got a slight gap up there at the top, but this tyre needs pumping up and it also needs lowering by an inch just to bring it down. It just all flows now. Look at that. That piece there, what is acting like a bit of an air dam. Oh man, it just looks, look at that. Looks like it was meant to be, ladies and gents. So I'm just going to repeat that process on the opposite side, and then we can put the bonnet back on and we can get a proper look. Even though the bumper did have a bit of a chin, with this splitter and them sort of canards on the side, it just gives it that proper underbite, you know what I mean? Can't believe that worked. What I've gone ahead and done is put a little pencil round router around the side. I've then done an even smaller one on the rest of the splitter. One, because I don't want sharp edges, and two, it just helps me be able to sand it down and seal all the inside of this. What we've got to do now is move on to mounting it. Luckily, I'm running a subframe that came out of a GT Turbo that was a sprint car. Now, there's loads of threads that have been welded into the subframe. It makes my job so much easier. Fingers crossed, I can just mark a couple of holes, drill them, get some long nuts, just thread it straight in. What we want to try and do is keep the surface underneath as flat as possible. So I may route small sections out to put metal plates in to be able to then fit the bolts to. Must be a bird on the roof or a ghost. Yeah, so basically I'm going to test out whether this is strong enough. There you go. Stand test done.
3 weeks later.
I'm all about making old stuff work, and that's exactly what we've done with these rear trim pieces. I did head down to Cambridgeshire when I was going down to Festival of Speed, and I picked up a genuine British Touring Car Championship wing that raced in Silverstone. Now, it's come off a crashed car, the brackets are slightly bent, but I could not pass up on getting a little bit of racing history on the van. Check that bad boy out. So, Race 2 Silverstone EA, it says. So if anyone's got any information on what that might mean. But my assumption was that it was being ran that way, but I can't quite tell. But my idea is to run it that way. As you can see, it's got a little bit of an angle on it. So if we imagine it tilted up ever so slightly on there, and then some sort of my own custom sort of swan neck. A swan neck, if nobody knows, I'll put a picture on screen, but basically they'd come up from a boot, come round and then come over. But I need mine to be flat so I can make a small swan neck to suit the boot of the van. So that's what we're going to start cracking on with for this. So this is a little tester that I made up previously. Really, it's going to look like that. We only needed something small, something structural. It'll probably need trimming here and there to make it look right and suit the wing, but that goes on the van, that goes on the wing, gives it ever so slightly bit of an angle, and there's a little 10-15 mil gap between the wing and the actual van. Obviously, this is the swan neck styling, and then this will be the plate that'll bolt to the roof of the van. We have got an issue where the boot on this is like a double skin for some reason, so there's obviously a gap between the exterior and the interior skin. So I'm going to have to cut the interior skin out so that I can obviously put a plate on the inside and sandwich the plastic together. If the boot lid was metal, I wouldn't have an issue just running a bolt straight through, but because it's plastic and I don't really want this wing to go anywhere, I'm going to put quite a large plate, nothing that small, probably a touch bigger than that, and then lengthways as well, so it spreads the weight right across the boot rather than having the impact just in this small area. It's just something like that that's needed. So all we need to do now is drill 4 holes out for bolting them through into the boot lid, cut that section out, and then we can bolt the wing on, and after that we can move on to the diffuser. So what we've got to do now is mark a center point on here, which I've already done, which is around there. That's the center point of the boot. We can then mark a center point on here. So I'm struggling to mark the 4 dots on top and hold the wing up at the same time. So we're gonna have to figure some sort of contraption out, find some sort of prop or mock something up which will hold the wing up and allow me to mark these 4 bolt holes. Once we've done that, we can drill them through and then cut out the inner skin, which I explained before. Then we can bolt a plate on. I ideally want this on this afternoon, and then I can put the rear quarters on and I can get a feel for what the wing is going to look like. I don't think it's going to be too stupid, but just enough that it's going to go with the van. Now the wing is on, but I've had an idea and I don't know if you're gonna like it. Let me show you. So the wing's bolted on at the top there, no problem, it's solid, but what do we think of that? Now obviously the rear diffuser's on, so you can't make a decision and the wheels are not on, I understand that. But they are Renault badge shaped end plates. The reason they are so big is because I wanted them low down so that it wasn't protruding above the van too much, but that it was the same width as the wing, so there's no poke out the front or at the back. I don't think they look bad. I did think they looked a bit big when I first started cutting them, but from this angle, I don't think they look too bad. When you have the rear diffuser that's popping out slightly as well, I think it might just tie in. You let me know down below. I don't need to make a decision right now. End plates are something that can be done at a later date. I don't know, it's growing on me. It's hard to tell at the moment because everything that is new is in white and different colours and all that. But if you imagine this, when it's all painted black, I think they might just work. I'm quite liking them. Let me know what you think. Now we can move on to the side skirts and rear diffuser. Now that the wing is on, ain't going nowhere, mate. We can now move on to the rear diffuser. Now this is an RX-7 rear diffuser. With the van being so wide, there was a lot of diffusers that wouldn't work. Obviously they don't make them for this, so I was gonna make my own. But I spotted this on EP Racing's website and I thought, if I can get some measurements on that, that fits the time attack styling that I'm going for. Lo and behold, I got some measurements and it's perfect for the van rear bumper. Only issue is I need to now build that up. Let's get some tools out, get this up, and we can hover it up to see what needs cutting and where we need to make some brackets for this rear diffuser. So this is the first look and mock-up stage. Now, as we can see, I'm pretty happy with the height at where it's at, but I'm not happy about, obviously, these bits that are sticking out. Now, this is meant for an RX-7. If we go where a 15 would be, which is around there, you can see the arch would come down, we'd be able to make it square and rounded or whatever. We have got a side panel that does or will go around here. Maybe a touch further in, who knows, I'm not too sure yet. But what I'm not happy with this angle. I need to square this up on both sides to suit the van bumper. That way I can kick that end in and then I'll be able to fix it into the actual van bumper. What I'm also not happy with is this portion here. Obviously it sticks out, which I've got no issues with, but it's whether we make brackets off here onto the bumper. I'm not too sure. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have a look at a few time attack style builds online, go through the forums and stuff like that and see how other people have done their rear diffusers, because at the moment I'm not really happy with the way it sits. Give me 5-10 minutes and I will check back in with a plan on how to get this rear diffuser to fit. It has been way longer than 5-10 minutes. Honestly, it's probably been the hardest bit of the build. Not fitting wise, I've not fitted it yet, but visual wise and trying to get it somewhat like and where I want it without cutting too much off and then regretting it and then not happy. But this is what we've got so far. So we can see from there, it's looking somewhat like. So the diffuser is where I want it. It's sticking out far enough. The end plates are just there for look, so I want to see how it ties in. But my thinking is, because we've got this design down here and it matches the end plates, do the same end plates on the wing, and then the vents that are going in here, have them coming out but stagger them down. So have the vents that come in here, bring the top one out to say there, bring the middle one out to say there, bring the bottom one out to say there, or we could even extend them a bit further. Bang, bang, bang. Just a bit of a design to sort of bring this in around the light. It follows the shape of the bumper quite nicely. we've done a little bit of a notch round there to suit the bumper. I'll be honest with you, I ain't the biggest fan of this design. I'm not even too sure what it's for, to be honest with you. I might manipulate this further down the line to something that I like, but it's hard to visualize when everything is all different colors. Once everything is one color and the livery's on, it'll all blend in perfectly. But just looking at it now, especially from this angle, you sort can get a feel for what it's going to look like. Them three profiles down there and that at the top there, it'll just bring it all together. We are finally getting somewhere with this splitter. You know, we've got this full Maxi kit that's not supposed to be for this van, and it went on pretty smooth sailing. This splitter obviously is not meant for the van, but my God, what a ball ache it's been. Because the bumper's rounded and I've got nothing really to work off, it's dead hard finding the centre, getting it to get up, lie down straight. The two sections on the end are slightly angled up, so obviously when the wind comes through, it's a nice bit of downforce behind the wheels. That said, it's just been a ball ache getting it to line up right, but we have a plan. So as you can see, this is in the rough position. We have these little pieces that go on the end. If you can imagine, that is going to go on the edge there, and that profile matches that profile, which will then match the same profile but goes on the end of the spoiler. The beauty of this is there's a little ridge just underneath the bumper there, and when you slot that in, it runs flush. It's as if it was meant for it, ladies and gents. So we've got a little bit of trimming on the edge of the splitter to make it square with the bumper, which I'm going to go outside and do now. Then when we come back in, we can bolt these end pieces to the splitter and then get a fixing into the bumper. Feast your eyes, ladies and gents. Now this is starting to look somewhat like. As you can see, we've got the top section that matches the bottom profile of the splitter, and that splitter is looking seriously aggressive. As you can see behind the arch, we've got a little rear trim piece that was supposed to be used for the front, but I've decided it looks better in the rear. And then we've got something special coming for the front arches. We've got to start making up some brackets to get this perfectly mounted on, make sure it's fully secure. But that is what it's going to look like pretty much. Now, the exhaust on the van is not yet done. That is going to be done by Northern Monkey Tuning. I think we're going to go for a dual exit out the back, central, a bit like the 182s do. So I want to do as little brackets as possible to keep this rear diffuser up. I'm going to run 2 brackets just behind the bumper to just take the weight so I can pull the jack from out from underneath. Then what we can do in October time, we can send this to Northern Monkey Tuning, let them do the exhaust, then we can start bracing the rear diffuser up. I want the exhaust to be as free flowing as possible, so if I can do as little bracketing as possible, that gives Northern Monkey Tuning more room to work with, because these are pretty tight. We are going to move on to the side skirts. Now this one is already pre-cut, so we need to repeat that process on the opposite side. And then we need to make a few brackets like this. This has just been shaped, the curve to suit the sill, and then that bottom section is square, so we can bang a riv nut in there and then you can bolt from the underside of the side skirt. I need to do 10 of these, pretty much similar. Once we've welded them on, we can move them about here and there, but let's show you what's going to happen at the front. So as I previously mentioned, the side skirt is cut, just suits it like that. The door can open nicely without catching it, it just lips on the inside of there, and we'll have fixings underneath. Now you might be thinking to yourself, Jordan, it's short, and it is, but if we go back to a couple of clips ago, I mentioned that I am going to be cutting this arch. The reason for that is I want to make it as easy as possible for the air that gets trapped in there to escape and run down the side. I'm going to put the picture on screen again, and I'm going to mould the inner arch to the door, and then this will start to taper in there. I've got about 100-150 mil there that I need to make up, but I want to get this mounted in place first and that cut so I can then start to mould that in. I know what you're thinking, Jordan, it's a brick. Why are you trying to make it more aerodynamic? Why are you not doing this instead? Why are you doing this? To be honest with you, it's a massive learning experience for me. I do want to build an old school specific track car in the future, something that maybe I can compete in with competitions. So this is a learning curve. I want to try it out. I'm not happy with the way that arch fits at the bottom there. So why not? Oh, Jordan, you may as well not have bought a kit. You may as well have done this. You may as well have done that. We're learning as we go. I had the idea to fit the kit, but not a specific goal in mind of where it was going to take us. And now that we're doing this time attack styling, we may as well go all out. This side skirt has already been cut to suit that side. The arches are equal at the back, so this one needs to be replicated like this. All I did was hold the side skirt up, square and level, and measured the gap in between the sill and the side skirt. That was 30mm. I then transferred that measurement onto the bottom of this by reducing the underside of the skirt by 30mm, pushed it back in. 30mm to that edge of the curve there. We'll mark a straight line all the way down, we'll cut that and we'll take it back to see whether there's any trimming needed on the top side. This one did need a little bit of trimming. Fiberglass isn't always perfect. We'll get this marked up, whizzed off, and then test fit this other side. We have one more thing to sort before the aero is done on the Maxi van. And that is this splitter section down here. There's a gap between the bumper and the splitter, and we're here to sort that. I've gone ahead and ordered a strip of aluminium composite. Now what this is going to do is bridge the gap between the ply splitter and the bumper so no air can escape in. This is highly malleable and strong. As you can see, I've already made the bend on the corner. What we're going to do is bend it to suit the corners of the bumper along with fitting. We need to notch it around the small canards that I've got at the bottom, but it just stops that air and creates an air dam to scoop around the bumper onto the splitter and up the spats at the side. Now that has to come to a stop. I have left my drill at home. I should have two, I know, but I took it home at the weekend to do a bit of work, so we cannot fit that front section. But this side profile now, with the rear spoiler and the rear diffuser, it's something to die for. Now obviously this isn't the final look because we are waiting on the wheels, as I explained in the previous few clips. We've got a small section that is going to go on here and come down and then marry it in to the rear diffuser, but we need the wheels on. Then if we move to the front, we've got that small section that we need to cut out and make the arch liner mould into the door, but again, we're waiting on the wheels. I did order them when they said they were in stock, but I was notified that the white ones that I wanted were going to be coming in a September batch. So he's promised me that they will be the first one out. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, I can get tyres mounted and have them ready for around mid-September. The next van update is going to be the engine video. Now we're doing a complete overhaul on this thing, making it brand spanking in partnership with Napa. Napa have sent out so many parts for us to replace on this engine. Even though it is a 2002, there's still loads of stuff available on their website. We're then going to paint it and get it in the car because we are doing a stripped loom. I want to get rid of everything that I don't need. Ethan is going to sort it out for me. Absolute gem. He came around the other day and said that is no problem at all. From that point then, while we send the harness off to get sorted, we can start putting the rad in, hoses, making mounts for anything that we will need. The fuse box is going in the footwell, so there is plenty to do. After that will be the Megane video, which did not go to plan, so stick around for that one. After that then, it's going to be the Europe videos. We are taking the 5 to Europe, so it'll be making sure that is perfect to go to Europe, and then spending 9 days across Belgium, Germany, Switzerland and back through France. Along the way we'll be hitting Spa, Nürburgring, the Swiss Alps, and then back through France's beautiful national parks. I am so busy at the moment, not stressed out, but I'd rather have it over way. Just want to say again, thank you very much to all the support that I've been receiving on here. I'm hoping we can hit 10k by the end of the year, and if we do, I've got something special coming for them again. Thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you in the next one.